Chapter 20. The Law in Force and Transitional Provisions. Part 2. Article 138. Courts and Pending Actions. 1. The Judge President and other judges of the Supreme Court of Southwest Africa holding office at the date on which this Constitution is adopted by the Constituent Assembly shall be deemed to have been appointed as the Judge President and judges of the High Court of Namibia under Article 82 hereof on the date of independence, and upon making the oath or affirmation of office in the terms set out in Schedule 1 hereof, shall become the first Judge President and judges of the High Court of Namibia, provided that if the Judge President or any such judges are 65 years of age or older on such date, it shall be deemed that their appointments have been extended until the age of 70 in terms of Article 82, Subarticle 4 hereof. 2. A. The laws in force immediately prior to the date of independence governing the jurisdiction of courts within Namibia, the right of audience before such courts, the manner in which procedure in such courts shall be conducted, and the power and authority of the judges, magistrates, and other judicial officers shall remain in force until repealed or amended by Act of Parliament, and all proceedings pending in such courts at the date of independence shall be continued as if such courts had been duly constituted as courts of the Republic of Namibia when the proceedings were instituted. B. Any appeal noted to the Appellate Division of the Supreme Court of South Africa against any judgment or order of the Supreme Court of Southwest Africa shall be deemed to have been noted to the Supreme Court of Namibia, and shall be prosecuted before such court as if that judgment or order appealed against had been made by the High Court of Namibia, and the appeal had been noted to the Supreme Court of Namibia. C. All criminal prosecutions initiated in courts within Namibia prior to the date of independence shall be continued as if such prosecutions had been initiated after the date of independence in courts of the Republic of Namibia. D. All crimes committed in Namibia prior to the date of independence, which would be crimes according to the law of the Republic of Namibia if it had then existed, shall be deemed to constitute crimes according to the law of the Republic of Namibia, and to be punished as such in and by the courts of the Republic of Namibia. 3. Pending the enactment of the legislation contemplated by Article 79 hereof, A. The Supreme Court shall have the same jurisdiction to hear and determine appeals from courts in Namibia as was previously vested in the Appellate Division of the Supreme Court of South Africa. B. The Supreme Court shall have jurisdiction to hear and determine matters referred to it for a decision by the Attorney General under this Constitution. C. All persons having the right of audience before the High Court shall have the right of audience before the Supreme Court. D. 3 judges shall constitute a quorum of the Supreme Court when it hears appeals or deals with matters under subarticles A and B hereof, provided that if any such judge dies or becomes unable to act after the hearing of the appeal, or such matter has commenced, but prior to the judgment, the law applicable in such circumstances to the death or inability of a judge of the High Court shall apply mutatis mutandis. E. Until rules of the Supreme Court are made by the Chief Justice for the noting and prosecution of appeals and all matters incidental thereto, the rules which regulated appeals from the Supreme Court of Southwest Africa to the Appellate Division of the Supreme Court of South Africa, and were in force immediately prior to the date of independence shall apply mutatis mutandis. Article 139. The Judicial Service Commission. 1. Pending the enactment of legislation as contemplated by Article 85 hereof, and the appointment of a Judicial Service Commission thereunder, the Judicial Service Commission shall be appointed by the President by proclamation, and shall consist of the Chief Justice, a judge appointed by the President, the Attorney General, an advocate nominated by the Bar Council of Namibia, and an attorney nominated by the Council of the Law Society of Southwest Africa, provided that until the nominated by the Council of the Law Society of Southwest Africa, provided that until the first Chief Justice has been appointed, the President shall appoint a second judge to be a member of the Judicial Service Commission, who shall hold office thereon until the Chief Justice has been appointed. The Judicial Service Commission shall elect from amongst its members at its first meeting the person to preside at its meetings until the Chief Justice has been appointed. The first task of the Judicial Service Commission shall be to make a recommendation to the President with regard to the appointment of the first Chief Justice. 2. Save as aforesaid, the provisions of Article 85 hereof shall apply to the functioning of the Judicial Service Commission appointed under Subarticle 1 hereof, which shall have all the powers vested in the Judicial Service Commission by this Constitution. Article 140. The law in force at the date of independence. 1. Subject to the provisions of this Constitution, all laws which were in force immediately before the date of independence shall remain in force until repealed or amended by Act of Parliament, or until they are declared unconstitutional by a competent court. 2. Any powers vested by such laws in the government or in a minister or other official of the Republic of South Africa shall be deemed to vest in the government of the Republic of Namibia, or in a corresponding minister or official of the government of the Republic of Namibia, and all powers, duties, and functions which so vested in the Government Service Commission shall vest in the Public Service Commission referred to in Article 112 hereof. 3. Anything done under such laws prior to the date of independence by the government, or by a member, or by a minister, or other official of the Republic of South Africa shall be deemed to have done by the government of the Republic of Namibia, anything done under such laws prior to the date of independence by the government or by a minister or other official of the Republic of South Africa shall be deemed to have been done by the government of the Republic of Namibia, or by a corresponding minister or official of the government of the Republic of Namibia, unless such action is subsequently repudiated by an Act of Parliament, and anything so done by the Government Service Commission shall be deemed to have been done by the Public Service Commission referred to in Article 112 hereof, unless it is determined otherwise by an Act of Parliament. 4. Any reference in such laws to the President, the Government, a minister, or other official or institution in the Republic of South Africa shall be deemed to be a reference to the President of Namibia, or to a corresponding minister, official, or institution in the Republic of Namibia, and any reference to the Government Service Commission or the Government Service shall be construed as a reference to the Public Service Commission referred to in Article 112 hereof, or the Public Service of Namibia. 5. For the purposes of this article, the government of the Republic of South Africa shall be deemed to include the administration of the Administrator General appointed by the Government of South Africa to administer Namibia, and any reference to the Administrator General in legislation enacted by such administration shall be deemed to be a reference to the President of Namibia, and any reference to a minister or official of such administration shall be deemed to be a reference to a corresponding minister or official of the Government of the Republic of Namibia. Article 141. Existing appointments. 1. Subject to the provisions of this Constitution, any person holding office under any law in force on the date of independence shall continue to hold such office unless and until he or she resigns or is retired, transferred, or removed from office, unless and until he or she resigns or is retired, transferred, or removed from office in accordance with law. 2. Any reference to the Attorney General in legislation in force immediately prior to the date of independence shall be deemed to be a reference to the Prosecutor General, who shall exercise his or her functions in accordance with this Constitution. Article 142. Appointment of the First Chief of the Defense Force, the First Inspector General of Police, and First Commissioner General of Correctional Service. The President shall, in consultation with the leaders of all political parties represented in the National Assembly, appoint by proclamation the First Chief of the Defense Force, the First Inspector General of Police, and the First Commissioner General of Correctional Service. Article 142, including the heading, is amended by the Namibian Constitution, Second Amendment, Act 7 of 2010. Not all of the changes to the heading are indicated by the amendment markings. Article 143. Existing international agreements. All existing international agreements binding upon Namibia shall remain in force unless and until the National Assembly acting under Article 63, Subarticle 2d hereof, otherwise decides. That concludes Part 2 of Chapter 20 of the Namibian Constitution. If you liked this video and if you found any value in it, make sure to like the video and share it. And of course, subscribe to the channel so that you can track every video in the Namibian Constitution playlist, part for part, chapter for chapter. Until the next one.